You have been fed lies, lies wrapped in glory, and for the suffering of loyalty and self-sacrifice. You were taught to be kind, open, and accessible. But accessibility is vulnerability. In this world, those who are too accessible are used. They are not respected. You spend your time checking on how others are doing. You come running at the first call, explaining yourself to those who would not even notice your absence. This is the first crack in your strength. You waste your energy when it should be focused and directed like a weapon. Machiavelli knew this long before modern psychology attempted to soften the truth. A person who spreads themselves too thin loses the game. Every time you justify yourself, every time you enter someone else's battle, you drain yourself. And for what? For approval, for recognition. This is a currency without value. If you want to be feared, respected, and considered untouchable, you must become the center of your own world. This is not selfishness. This is strategy. The weak call it narcissism because they cannot accept those who do not conform to them. But true strength is quiet, focused, and internally robust. You do not need permission to isolate yourself and build. You are not obligated to explain why you cut off distractions. Once you realize that your mind is the only battlefield that matters, life will begin to align in your favor, focusing solely on yourself. Not out of hatred, not out of spite, but because you finally see the truth. No one will come to save you. No one will hand you strength. No one will feel your pain as you do. Your transformation begins the moment you withdraw your energy from the crowd and direct it towards creation. The more you focus on the internal, the louder your silence becomes. And this silence terrifies them. If you are ready to stop chasing and start building, show it now. I will no longer beg for attention. I will become the reason they crave it. This is just the beginning. In the first part, we will tear off the mask of distractions disguised as love and loyalty, and reveal how they were created to keep you weak. The first is the illusion of loyalty. How do they trap you with care? They do not need to bind you with chains to control you. It is enough for them to convince you that they care. This is the most effective trap. False loyalty wrapped in emotional words. They say, "I am always here for you." But as soon as your priorities change, watch how quickly they disappear. See how swiftly that loyalty fades as soon as you stop serving their script. What they call friendship is often just a masked dependency. You keep people close because they once made you feel seen. But that feeling comes with a leash. You fear growing because it might hurt them, make them uncomfortable, provoke envy, and you diminish yourself. You stifle your ambitions just to protect their comfort. This is disloyalty. This is slavery. This is a psychological war that you were never prepared for. Niccolo Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago. The most dangerous people are not always enemies. Sometimes The closest people turn out to be those who slowly drain you with a smile on their face. They demand your time, your presence, your emotional energy, and they call it love. But the moment you say no, it is already labeled as betrayal. This is not love, it is control. If you do not sever this connection, you will lose your future. You cannot grow if you care about other people's egos. You cannot rise if you fear being misunderstood. And you certainly cannot become something powerful while dragging along the dead weight of the past. Every second given to someone who does not build with you subtracts from your potential. Your silence, your lack of focus, and your precision suffer. Let them call it coldness. Let them call it selfishness. You call it strategy. If you are ready to free yourself from emotional slavery and create something real, think about this. Their devotion was a cage. My freedom is now ruthless. Secondly, destroy the past. Rebirth or remain weak. You are not who you were 5 years ago. You are not who you were last year. You are not even who you were this morning. But if you continue to drag along an outdated version of yourself, do not be surprised if the results remain the same. The past lives only because you nourish it with your thoughts, your words, your choices. You tell people stories about who you are. But these stories are prisons. They are chains forged in childhood, from pain and fear, and you continue to polish them as if they were made of gold. The world does not hold you back. It is you. You keep showing up in the image that others expect of you. The nice guy, the helper, the overly thoughtful, the apologetic. This image brings only rejection and disappointment because people read your script before you even speak. Predictable people are forgettable people. Want transformation? Then disappear. Burn the script. Return to the world with an air of mystery, a mind of silence, and eyes that no longer seek permission. Machiavelli did not wait for the world to recognize his worth. He created systems that forced the world to adapt to his power. He knew that reinvention is not vanity. It is survival. Do you think consistency will make you reliable? No. It makes you easily predictable, easily used, easily eliminated. True power resides in unpredictability, in appearing to others, in such rapid development that enemies no longer recognize you, while your old self becomes elusive. You owe no explanations to the world. You owe yourself a revolution. Let the weak cry about how you have changed too much. Let acquaintances plead for the version of you that suited them. But you evolve in silence. You move in the shadows. You erase your past, not with excuses, but with uncompromising actions. When they ask what happened to your old self, you respond. He died when I realized that no one cares if I am not useful. And this is your key to freedom. Become so powerful, so goal-oriented, so quietly dangerous, that people feel the change when you enter a room. This is not ego. It is a constructed presence. And this happens only when you stop clinging to the old you, who is no longer needed. Destroy your past. Bury it deep, because the person you need to become does not require approval. He needs solitude, silence, and military resolve. Write this down now if you are ready to burn your old identity to the ground. My past does not own me. I create what frightens them, because in the next part, we will delve into emotional detachment. And why is the ability to not feel at the right moment the deadliest power you will ever acquire? Emotional detachment. How to become invulnerable without becoming unfeeling. Most people, slaves to their emotions, let anger govern their words, fear dictate their decisions, and desire control their attention. And then they wonder why they are so easily manipulated. The moment someone can predict your reaction, they own you. And as soon as they can provoke an emotion in you, they use it for their advantage, not yours. You were taught that deep feelings make you human, but no one told you that it makes you weak if you do not learn to control them. Emotional detachment does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel, but you choose which emotions serve you and which to discard like a broken sword in battle. Because when you react emotionally, you are not living. You are controlled, like a puppet on strings. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man must appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious, but be internally the opposite when necessary." Why? Because the world rewards envy, not sincerity. Emotional detachment is your armor. When the world demands a reaction from you, to break you, to show that you are affected, you remain calm. Because a person who does not flinch at provocation frightens those who rely on chaos. When someone tries to anger you, it is not personal, it is strategic. They are testing your self-control. When someone ignores you, shows disrespect, or forgets about you, it is not betrayal, it is information. And most of you turn this data into suffering. You beg for closure. You seek explanations, spiraling down from grievances that you cannot control. And in doing so, you hand them an emotional knife to cut you again and again. But when you detach, when you stop reacting emotionally and begin to study people like a strategist, you become impervious to their games. Insults slide past you. Flattery becomes meaningless. Manipulation is so obvious that it is laughable. You are no longer driven by approval or crushed by rejection. You sit at the center of your own gravity. Calm, cold, calculating. Emotional detachment allows you to say no without guilt, to leave without leaving doors open, to burn bridges that only led to places you have already outgrown. And most importantly, this gives you space. Space for reflection, space for restructuring, space to direct all your energy into strength, not into pursuit, explanation, or appeasement, but into absolute control over your reactions. Do you think being emotional means being real? No, it makes you readable, predictable, weak. The most influential people you know, those who fill the entire room with their presence, do not make noise. They do not express emotions, nor do they remain silent. And when silence becomes an art, it turns into psychological weaponry, making those around you wonder what you are thinking and fear your intentions. If you want to become unshakable, you must master the art of emotional detachment, not through indifference, but through selectivity. Be cold where it is necessary, calm when it hurts, and focused when others lose their heads. This is not emptiness. This is evolution. This is how you become a person who cannot be manipulated, because nothing owns you. Not praise, not rejection, not pain. Write about this now if you are tired of being emotionally predictable. They can provoke anyone, but I remain unyielding. The fourth point is the formation of your environment. How do you remove everything that weakens you? You think your mindset belongs solely to you, but it does not. You think your thoughts are personal, but they are programmed. Every sound, every voice, every screen, every room shapes your thoughts, values, and aspirations. Your environment is not just where you live, it is what lives inside you. And if you do not control it, it will start to control you. Look around. Your so-called comfort zone is a psychological trap designed to make you soft. You sleep in a bed you do not deserve, scrolling through images that poison your mind, and surrounding yourself with people who distract your attention, calling it normal. The war is not outside, it is already within. The enemy is not external, it is your environment. Quiet, familiar, and designed to keep you unnoticed. Niccolo Machiavelli understood deeply that the power of a ruler lies not only in his will, but also in what he allows to surround him. Every object, every influence, every connection either contributes to your elevation or sabotages it. The chair you sit on, the background noise, the friends you tolerate, the clutter on your desk, all of this either sharpens your mind or dulls it. If you want to become unattainable, then become obsessed with creating your world ruthlessly. Start with silence. Silence is your first tool because without it, you will not hear your strategy. Then, eliminate distractions one by one. Every useless notification, every weak conversation, every room that reminds you of failure, disorder, laziness, or addiction. Remove, burn, replace it with a space that demands your presence. Your room is a reflection of your mind. If it is cluttered, so are you. If it is noisy, so are you. If it is filled with meaningless things and empty entertainment, that is not a coincidence. It is a reflection. And until you clear this environment, you will remain stuck. You will continue to wake up tired, continue to thirst for validation, continue to confuse stimulation with strength, and they will laugh as they watch you sabotage yourself with your own surroundings. You think that watching motivational content for 10 minutes will change your life, but your room whispers weakness into your subconscious for 10 hours. Your desk, your walls, your phone, all of them send signals. Most of them say the same thing. Stay as you are. Be passive, do not change, and until you reprogram this battlefield, you will not move forward. Now let's talk about people. Who do you allow into your energy? Who has the right to influence your day? If they are not disciplined, not focused, or not growing, why are they in your space? You do not need permission to distance yourself. You do not need drama to leave. Just observe their habits, their language, their mindset. And if they reflect your past instead of your future, quietly sever ties without arguments, without guilt. Strength lies not only in what you add, but also in what you remove. Remove comfort, remove chaos, remove weak voices. This is how you sharpen focus. This is how you build a kingdom that no one can touch, because they do not even recognize the terrain in which you operate. And that is the essence of it all. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. You were created to build a world that obeys your will. So stop apologizing for isolation. Stop explaining why you disappear. Stop negotiating with those who live in distraction. You owe them no warnings. You owe yourself results. When you enter your room, your energy should rise, not be depleted. When you open your phone, it should provide clarity, not confusion. This is a sign of a person who understands. The mind is programmable, and it is the programmer. Write this down now if you no longer allow your environment to define your future. I do not adapt to chaos. I design strength. Point 5. The killer of time. How seconds become masked with regret. Every second you waste is a betrayal. Not to others, but to yourself. You think time is flexible. You think you will have more of it later. You think that since you are young, time is on your side. But let me give you the truth that most people will not learn until it is too late. Time is not patient. Time is not kind. Time is a silent thief. Every hour you spend on nonsense, scrolling, waiting, reacting, is a blade against your own potential. You were not born with strength. You were not born with influence. You were not born with leverage. The only currency you were born with is time. The only difference between the strong and the forgotten is how they spent it. That is all. The same 24 hours. Different discipline. The same hours. Different obsession. The weak waste time. The strong invest it. And you had better learn the difference before the clock makes the choice for you. Niccolo Machiavelli never wrote in haste. He planned, studied, maneuvered. Because he knew that time is not something to kill. It is something to turn into a weapon. Every minute can be sharpened into a strategy. But you let it slip away in group chats, on streaming services, in fruitless conversations and aimless scrolling. You call it rest. I call it suicide. Slow, polite, and completely avoidable. Here is the truth you cannot escape. You are not tired. You are distracted. You are not burned out. You simply do not have a plan. You are not stuck. You are just spending time on people and habits that do not contribute to your growth. It does not get stronger with age. It grows lazy without pressure. The more you indulge in weakness, the more your time becomes shackles instead of a ladder. Want a better life, discipline, control, and strength? Start tracking your time like a king watches his gold. Because every second either builds your throne or someone else's. And let this be crystal clear. If you do not control your hours, you do not control your life. And if you do not control your life, then someone else does. Look at your day. See how filled it is with reaction instead of design. You wake up and check your phone before your thoughts. You eat while scrolling through feeds. You walk through life on autopilot. You breathe on autopilot. Your time is no longer yours. It belongs to algorithms, advertisements, and digital distractions. This is not life. This is programming, and you are the product. But here's the good news. Time is ruthlessly fair. Once you rid yourself of the excess, the useless tasks, the false emergencies, the mental clutter, time will open up like a sword drawn from its sheath. You will find hours where others find excuses. You will build while others rest. You will grow while they distract themselves into decline, because time does not care who you are. It only respects what you do with it. You do not need more hours in the day. You need to eliminate what steals them. That means cutting out people who talk more than they do. That means deleting apps that only bring fog to your mind. That means owning your mornings, guarding your nights, and protecting your schedule like a battlefield, because that is exactly what it is. Only strategists survive. Discipline is not just motivation, it is elimination. It is the subtraction of everything that holds back your rise. Want to wake up early? Go to bed without distractions? Want to develop a skill? Turn off the noise. Want to dominate in silence? Let silence become your standard. Because while they chase approval, you chase time. And that is why they will always be behind you. Too late, too noisy, too lost. You do not need to move quickly, but you must move with direction. There is a difference between movement and progress, between busyness and danger. The world is full of busy fools running in circles, chasing comfort, burning daylight to feel productive. But the one who sits in silence, plans with clarity, and acts without emotion, that one wins. And this is what you become, not a slave to time, not a fan of productivity, but a tactician with a strategy, who understands that the cruelest act of self-compassion is to reclaim your time without apologies. You do not need to explain why you are unavailable. You do not need to feel guilty for turning off your phone. You do not need permission to protect your time as something sacred, because it is sacred. If you are tired of your future dying due to every distracting little thing, write this down now. My time is a weapon. I spend it on strength, not on people. Because in the next section, we will touch on one of the darkest truths of Machiavelli. Why excessive help to others is not noble, but dangerous, and how self-denial turns lions into servants. The sixth is the trap of charity. Why helping everyone destroys you. You were taught that being helpful is good, that by sacrificing your time, energy, and attention for others, you will find meaning in life. That to earn respect, you must serve. But here is what you were never told. Most people do not respect generosity. They exploit it. And the more you give, the less noticeable you become. Because in the real world, usefulness is temporary, and self-denial is the fastest way to become unnecessary. You think that being reliable gives you power, but Machiavelli would laugh at that idea, because the person who is always available becomes someone who is never valued. You keep solving other people's problems, thinking it strengthens the bond. But all it builds is quiet discontent. They take your help, your advice, your time, and as soon as you say no, they call you selfish. This is not loyalty, it is dependency in disguise. Look closer at who benefits when you overextend yourself. Who gains when you put others above yourself? Not you. Because while you are busy helping them achieve their goals, your own goals starve. While you eliminate their chaos, your life stands still. You have been programmed to think that saying yes makes you noble. But in the psychology of power, a person who cannot say no is not noble. He is weak, and weakness is always punished. The truth is harsh. The more you help, the more they expect. You train them to take. You train them to drain you, and worst of all, you start to feel guilty for choosing yourself. This trap runs deep. You lose yourself in their problems. You become an instrument of their survival. You turn into a background figure in your own story. And they do not even notice. They just keep asking for more. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote extensively about this dynamic, that rulers must be cautious in providing services because the benefactor becomes the debtor, and those who receive help often begin to take it for granted. This happens to you. Every time you intervene to fix something that is not your responsibility, you lower your own status. And if you continue to do this, you lose the one thing that creates power: scarcity. Your time should feel precious. Your energy should feel earned. Your attention should be rare. That is how value is created. Not by being everywhere for everyone, but by making your presence a privilege. When you do this, people change. They either rise to your standards or they disappear. And both outcomes are exactly what you need. Helping people is not evil, but excessive help is evil. That is the difference. Power moves with intention. Weakness is a symptom. You help when it is strategically justified, when it serves your purpose, when it elevates you, not just them. But if you help out of guilt, fear, or a desire to be useful, then you are not helping. Are you giving in? You were not born to babysit chaos. You were not created to fix broken people who refuse to fix themselves. You were created to dominate your world, to grow, to surpass your past, to command your surroundings. And for that, a level of detachment is required that the average person cannot even comprehend. You help when it is deserved. You give when it is justified. You walk away without hesitation if it is not. Ah, do you want to be intimidating, valuable, respected? Then learn to say no without emotion, without hesitation, without lengthy explanations. You are not here to be loved. You are here to win. And you do not win by giving yourself to others until you are empty. You win by honing yourself until your mere presence compels others to grow or leave. Your kindness was taken for softness. Your empathy was used as leverage. Your time was drained as if it meant nothing. But not anymore. From this moment on, you help only when it strengthens power. You give only when it multiplies returns. You walk with people who carry their own burdens, or you walk alone. Write this down right now if you are done sacrificing yourself for those who never sacrifice for you. I am not a tool for those who are unfocused. My assistance is earned, not stolen. Number 7, the quiet power. How to dominate a room without saying a word. Most people think that power is volume. They believe it resides in the voice, in speech, in endless words that try to prove something. But true power does not try. It does not explain. It does not announce itself. It enters, it observes, and it controls the space even before it speaks. This is presence, the unspoken pressure of someone who does not chase approval, who does not need to make noise to be noticed. Have you seen it? A person who walks in and suddenly the air feels different. They do not smile. They do not perform. They do not entertain. They are simply there, confident, unflappable, impenetrable. This is not charisma. It is control. Control over their energy, control over their emotions, control over their image, and this control makes the world adapt to them. This is psychological dominance without aggression, and this is what you are going to master. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. The strongest people are often the quietest, because the moment you speak, you risk revealing something. You expose your thoughts, your position, your fears. But silence is strategic. It creates tension. It creates mystery. It makes others wonder. And in that wondering, you gain power, because you become a question they cannot answer. Stop filling the space with noise. Stop explaining yourself before anyone even asks. Stop giving away your emotions through facial expressions, restlessness, or excessive smiles. This is insecurity. Insecurity disguised as friendliness. And the more you act this way, the smaller you become. Presence is created when you are silent, but in that silence, there is everything. When your body radiates calmness, your face remains impenetrable. Your aura says, I do not need to be here. I choose to be here. In this lies the mistake of the average person. They try to please. They attempt to connect. They strive to accommodate, to talk more, and to overshare. Why? Because they fear being misunderstood. But a person who fears being misunderstood will never be respected. If you want people to feel something when you enter a room, stop trying to control their opinions. Start controlling your presence. Your energy enters before your words. Your posture speaks louder than your voice. Your eye contact conveys more than any words. Your silence screams. When you master silence, you change the dynamic. Others begin to speak to fill the discomfort. They reveal themselves, trying to understand you. This way, you win without confrontation. You allow them to open up, remaining a mirror they cannot decipher. There is nothing more intimidating than a person who does not flinch, a person who hears an insult but responds with calmness, a person who receives praise but does not glow like a puppy, a person who stands firm, focused, and calm, as if their entire mind is a single clear line of strategy. Do you think this requires arrogance? No. It requires discipline, deep inner silence, control over one's emotions, impulses, and the need to be noticed. Here is the truth. People are constantly scanning you. They observe how quickly you speak, how often you blink, how frequently you change your position, and how much you crave their attention. Most of you scream insecurity with every breath because no one taught you how to hold presence. But now you know. Now you understand that presence is held, not projected. And this happens only when your inner world is colder, calmer, and more committed than anything outside. You do not chase attention. You create gravity. You do not ask for space. You own it without asking. And this is not arrogance. It is mastery. Mastery over your time, your silence, your detachment. And when you establish this, you will see how people begin to feel nervous, respect you, and subconsciously adjust around you. This is true power, not in what you say, but in what they feel when you are silent. If you are tired of giving your power away with words and are ready to command without noise, tell yourself, my silence speaks louder than their performances. Because in the next section, we move to the ultimate transformation. Ruthless discipline of personal interests. Why is focusing on yourself, without guilt, the most powerful form of rebellion left in this world? The 8th point. Ruthless personal interests. Why put yourself first? This is the ultimate form of power. You have been convinced that thinking of yourself is wrong, that caring for your own interests is selfish, that focusing on your goals while ignoring the emotional chaos of others makes you a bad person. But let's clarify one thing. If you constantly put others first, one day you will wake up feeling empty, forgotten, and used. Not because they were cruel, but because you allowed it. Because you believed that sacrificing yourself would lead to recognition. No, it leads to insignificance. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach people to be cruel. He taught them to be clear. Clear about power, about outcomes, about understanding human nature. And at the core of this clarity lies a law. People will use you as long as you offer yourself. Once you stop focusing on yourself, they begin to think they can take from you. This is not negativity. It is reality. And if you do not build your life around this truth, you will be deceived every time. You have been taught that being selfless is a virtue, that you should drop everything when others need help, that your life should revolve around being useful. But let me ask, what happens when you need support? When you break down, when you go silent, you disappear, and the world continues to spin. No advice, no rescue missions, only silence. It is during these moments that most men realize they must be their own priority or be no one's priority at all. Self-interest does not mean causing harm to others. It means refusing to harm oneself to please them. It means placing your goals, your health, your discipline, and your future above their drama, distractions, and manipulation. Because you only have one life, and you are wasting it explaining why you finally choose yourself. Enough. You do not need permission to grow. You need discipline to protect it. Most people want you to remain soft, available, and constantly helpful. Why? Because that version of you is beneficial to them. It makes their lives easier. But as soon as you stop showing up to fix their chaos, suddenly you become the villain. Suddenly you become distant, selfish, cold. That is when you realize you are doing the right thing. Because putting yourself first will always offend those who relied on you putting yourself last. You cannot build an empire while babysitting. You cannot conquer anything by explaining every step to people who have never built anything. And you certainly cannot transform if you are emotionally attached to people who fear your independence. So cast aside your feelings, stop seeking approval, and walk with one truth in your heart. If it does not serve your purpose, it does not deserve your time. Self-interest gives you the strength to say no without argument. It gives you the clarity to choose discomfort now for strength later. It gives you the focus to endure loneliness because you are building something that requires isolation. And such strength, such concentrated energy, makes people uncomfortable because they cannot control it. They cannot achieve it. They cannot stop it. Most men want to be loved. You are not one of them. You are not here to be loved. You are here to be remembered. And you will not be remembered if you are everything to everyone. You will be remembered when you become a force, unattainable, unyielding, undeniable. This is only possible when you focus exclusively on yourself with ruthless persistence. Let the world call it selfishness. Let them label it arrogance. Let them not understand your silence, your detachment, your boundaries. You are not here to convince them. You are here to win without their approval. Because in the end, strength does not need to be understood. It simply moves forward. And those who cannot keep up fall behind and complain. So the next time someone tries to make you break your concentration, ask yourself, will this benefit me in the long run, or will it distract me from who I am becoming? If it is a distraction, cut it off. If it is an emotional bait, walk away. If it slows you down, The answer is already known. You do not compromise with weakness. You eliminate it. Write this if you have finished sacrificing your strength for temporary peace. I serve only my own interests. Number 9 is the final form.